கரெக்டா சொல்லுவாங்க. நாங்க இப்படி உட்காந்துக்கிறோம் சார். நாங்க 2 பேர் இருக்கோம். எங்களுக்கு ஹோல் வேணும். ஸ்ட்ரென்த் அதிகம் சார். 2 பேர்.
அவங்களுக்கு ஸ்ட்ரென்த் அதை விட அதிகம். ஒரு ஆள்
10 பேர் இருக்காங்க.
இங்க உட்கார்ந்து
அங்க ஏசி கீழ
நான் போடவா?
ஏசி ஆஃப் பண்ணிட்டா கூட நல்லா இருக்கும். பண்ண போறீங்களா? அது ஆஃப் பண்ணிருந்தது. எல்லாருக்குமே இன்டர்நெட் ப்ராப்ளம் சார்.
ஆமா
ஆமா சார். செகண்ட் இயர்.
அவங்க தேர்ட் இயர் பிடெக்.
கரெக்ஷன் நம்பர் பேப்பர் நீங்க மிஷின் காலையில இருந்து ஒரு
ஓகே.
ஸ்டூடண்ட் தான் போன் யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். ஸ்டாஃப் தான் போன் யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க.
எப்படி லேப்ல போன் ராஜேஷ் சார் லேப்ல போன் யூஸ் பண்றாங்க. என்ன கேக்குறீங்க? போன் யூஸ் அதான் சார் லேப்ல போன் யூஸ் பண்ணே. போன் நீங்க யூஸ் பண்ணலாம்.
ஸ்டூடண்ட்க்கு தான் எல்லா பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் உங்க ஸ்டாஃப் கூப்பிடுங்க சார் பாத்துக்கலாம். கூப்பிடுங்க யாருனாலும் பாத்துக்கலாம். என்ன எல்லாரும் கிளம்புறீங்க சார்? சுரேஷ் சாருக்கு எனக்கு பார்ட் டைம் டியூட்டி இல்ல. எதுக்கு சார் கேன்சல் 7 மணி 6 மணி வரைக்கும் தான்.
அது கிடையாது. அது கேன்சல் எங்க கேன்சல்
8 மணி வரைக்கும் இருக்க வச்சு.
நிறைய இருந்துச்சு மேம். அதனால தான் சரி.
Good evening all the participants. Good evening all the participants. Kindly mute your mics. Please. Kindly mute your mics.
Bye bye.
Kindly mute your mic please.
क्या है
इधर इधर
நல்லா இருக்கேன். இல்ல ஆகல. ஓகேவானா? ஓகே இல்லனா இல்ல. பாய்.
हमारा
அது ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி பார்க்கணுமா? FTP ஒண்ணு போயிட்டு இருக்கு. FTP ஒண்ணு போயிட்டு இருக்கு. வேற வரல.
Good evening to all of participants.
Good evening, sir.
We are going to start our FTP. As per Indian tradition, it is customary to invoke the blessing of the Almighty before embarking any significant endeavor. As we begin this charity development program, let us commence with a prayer. Screen share हो गई?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
चल ठीक है तुझसे इसके बाद आपकी तरफ बोलना है
अब्दुल कलाम जी।
कंबाइन करके चेक कीजिए चलो तो चलने दो सर ऑडियो इशू आ रहा है तो ऑडियो ऑन करना था फिर एडमिट से ऑडियो तो नहीं बंद है हिंदी में पढ़ दो
சார் இன்னும் போடவே இல்லைன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Thank you very much. Now I request Dr. Arvind Devangan to share about the institutes and to introduce about the source persons which are on the various parts of the universities and the NITs of the India. So Dr. Arvind Devangan, please.
Hadoop installation தானா மேம்?
Thank you, Dr. Praveen Prakash. From new development and development green campus of global cooperative institutes, one of the finest institutions in the state of Punjab, I warmly welcome all the participants. Myself, Dr. Praveen Prakash, introduced here as a coordinator. The Global Cooperative Institutes is managed by a well-educated and visionary group. The chairman of the institute, Honorable Baldev Chandrani, is an agriculture scientist, while the vice chairman, Dr. Akash Chandrani, completed his bachelor degree in mechanical engineering from reputed Guru Nanak Dev Engineering College, and later obtained his MBA and PhD in quality education from Guru Nanak Dev University, Jalandhar, Amritsar. The current campus director, Dr. M.S. Sani, has made remarkable contribution in the field of engineering education and research. Dr. Sani obtained his MTech from the country's top institute, the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and earned his PhD from Harvard Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala. Dr. Sani also rendered 12 years of service at ISRO, one of India's premier scientific institutions. Subsequently, he served as officer and head for 15 years at the Sir William Institute of Engineering and Technology, a centrally funded institute. Later, Dr. Sani held the position of director for 10 years of one of the oldest and most prestigious institutions of the country, Guru Nanak Dev Engineering College, Ludhiana, Punjab. The Global Group of Institutions Amritsar has a beautiful and well-planned green campus that provides all modern factors for students The infrastructure includes spacious academic buildings, smart classrooms, laboratories, seminar halls, and a well-stocked library. The campus atmosphere is peaceful and inspiring, encouraging students to focus on learning and research. The institute provides excellent hostel facilities for both boys and girls inside the campus. The hostels are modern and comfortable with full furnished air-cooled rooms, 24-hour electricity backup, RO clean drinking water, Wi-Fi, and security. Hygienic food is served in the hostel mess, and medical help is available whenever needed. Global group of institutions also promotes
C-யும் இல்ல C++
sports and fitness through a wide range
ஆனா
of
இது Hadoop இல்ல இது நான் வேற syllabus
there are playground for cricket and football, court for basketball, volleyball, and badminton, as well as spaces for indoor games. Various sports events are organized regularly to encourage teamwork and a healthy lifestyle among students. A special
lab தானே
attraction of the
சார்
institution is its horse
பாக்குறியா
riding
நீ
club, which offers students a chance to learn horse riding under expert guidance. This unique facility adds to the overall development of building,
data
confidence,
preparation நல்லா இருக்கு
discipline, and courage. GGI Central Library
அது போன
offers
செமஸ்டர்
comprehensive
அது
academic
போன
support
செமஸ்டருக்கு
through access to e-journals. Then subsequent a full featured e-library and an extensive collection of reference materials and textbooks across various courses,
Hadoop
ensuring a rich and resourceful learning environment. Overall, the global group of institutes provides a complete learning environment where students can grow academically, physically, and personally in safe and supportive
Hadoop
atmosphere.
installation
It is under the able leadership Dr. Manohar Singh Saini that the global group of institute has been awarded the NAC A+ grade and is now recognized as an autonomous institution by the University Grant Commission. At present, the global group of institute offers a wide variety of courses such as engineering, civil and mechanical, and computer science and engineering, management and MBA, BE, and BCom, hotel management and tourism management, pharmacy and medical sciences, and law. The training and placement cell of the global group of institutes regularly organize industrial visits and guest lectures by experts from various fields to keep students updated with the latest technologies. These activities help students stay informed about recent innovations and inventions, enhancing their readiness for further professional challenges. Now, I will come to in artificial intelligence for Industry 4.0 as well, bridging academia and industrial applications. Artificial intelligence lies at the core of Industry 4.0, driving an era of smart manufacturing, intelligent automation, and data-driven decision-making. Technologies such as machine learning, computer vision, IoT integration, and predictive analytics are enabling industry to enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and optimize resource utilization. However, the true potential of artificial intelligence can only be realized when strong, continuous collaboration exists between academia and industry. Academia plays a foundational role by conducting cutting-edge research,
advanced data
developing innovative AI algorithm, and exploring new applications in robotics, cyber
போன
physical
செமஸ்டருக்கு
systems,
முன்ன ஃபர்ஸ்ட்
robotic
செமஸ்டர்
control, and digital twins. Universities also create a talent pipeline by training students in AI data science and automation technologies. Yet, academic research often requires real-world validation to ensure relevance and scalability. Industry provides this essential practical environment. Companies contribute real data, operational challenges, and applications scenarios that help refining academic innovations
எங்களுக்கு
into
சாய்ஸ்ல
real
பார்ட்
life
டைம்ல சாய்ஸ்
applications.
வந்து
Collaborative research centers, industry-sponsored labs, live projects, and internship programs act as a bridge that connect theoretical learning with industrial practices.
டேட்டா
By aligning academic
ஏன்னா
curricula
அவங்க
with
டிஸ்கஸ்
benefits
பண்ணா
in
எந்த
and
ஸ்டாஃப்
promoting
அவைலபிளா
continuous
இருக்காங்களோ
knowledge
அதை
exchange,
நீங்க
whose
ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ்
sectors
எவ்வளவு
benefit, academia gains relevance, and industry gains innovation. This
நாங்க ரெண்டு
synergy
பேர் தாங்க எங்களுக்கு
digital
ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் நைன்
transformation
மெம்பர்ஸ்
enhance workforce readiness and ensures that AI solutions industry 4.0 are reliable, cost effective, and future ready.
Thank you, Dr. Now, there are some instructions for the participants. Please note, you have to attend all the sessions seriously. MCQ test, it will be taken on the last day of the FDP. Total 50 questions will be there. Each question will be up to marks.
அதேதான்
At least
மேக்ஸிமம்
5 questions belong to each session,
ஸ்டாஃப் அவைலபிலிட்டி
and 80% attendance is compulsory. And participants which possess less than 80% attendance will not allow to participate in the question answering hours. And moreover, the qualifying marks for this FTP are 70. So be serious and participate properly in this FDP. Manual attendance may be taken anytime, so you must be attentive. And another request is you have to join the valid name and email ID through which you have registered in ATAL portal. By attendance or answering any questions of experts, you have to also join the camera. And during the MCQ hours, within 1 hour, you have to complete these 50 questions, and within same time, you have to submit the feedback also. So, avoid the multiple logins. Check your internet connection. Also, we have also faced here also. From your side, you will have to try your best, and your best is to take screenshots if there is internet issue for the proof of attendance. If any query which you want to sort from you have to promptly reply to them. Complete the ATAL portal requirements. Keep on login at ATAL portal, and if any queries are there, you have to submit there within time. So that's all. The final exam will be conducted on 22nd of November. Please maintain the discipline. At initial stages, we were watching that your microphones were on. Please note that while others are speaking, or if you are not speaking, mute your mics, please. So, we are part of our motherland, tradition, we tribute to our motherland, the nation anthem. Now, everyone is requested to rise and stand in their respective places.
கரெக்ட் பண்ணி மார்க்கும் இது கிரேட் ஷீட்ல நான் கிரெடிட் தான் ஆனா உங்களுக்கு கிரேட் ஷீட்ல அதுக்கு வேல்யூஸ் வரும் கரெக்ஷன் பண்ணி கிரேட் கார்ட்லயே ஒரு செமஸ்டருக்கு ஏதாவது ஒரு லேப் ஒண்ணு அது நம்மளுடைய நார்மல் பீரியட எலக்ட்ரிவா பீரியட லேபா இருக்கும் அப்படி இல்லைன்னா எலக்ட்ரிக் இந்த அதுதான் உங்க நம்பர் தான் இது பண்ணீங்க நான் எனக்கு அனுப்பிச்சுக்கிறேன் எங்க வச்சிருக்கேன்னு தெரியல எங்கேயோ சர்ச் ஆகி கிடக்கு நீங்க வர்க்கீங்கா? ஏன் அங்க இது ரெகுலரே போட்டுக்கலாம். அப்புறம் ஏன் மாத்திக்கலாம். அதுக்காக கமிஷன்
Now today's first speaker is Dr. Mani. Dr. Mani holds a doctorate in computer engineering and from Melinda School of Commerce, University of Virginia. He is practitioner and leader in ATAC, proven record of driving innovation and disruption in education sector through technology. He brings more than 20 years experience completing program at Innovation Center, Education Team, and IBM India Limited. Many patents.
Sir, I request you to please mute the mics of all participants. I am requesting.
Please listen carefully. Mute your mics. We have requested so many times. All the
Sir,
participants.
you are having the rights.
Your mics,
Host
please.
is having rights to mute everybody. Please mute it from host side.
Okay, sir. We will try our best.
Kanagpriya ma'am's mic is disturbing too much.
Many patents, such as chapters has been credited into his account. He has contributed to many more courses on foreign portal. His achievements are so large numbers. So I request Dr. Mani, please acknowledge us with your knowledge. Dr. Mani, please.
Sure, sir. Thank you, and it's been great to join this evening, and I really wish all the participants great success with this faculty development program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
If you can please mute the participants, that will be really great, because I feel everybody is inconvenienced, and they're not able to give attention to the mic which is open right now for her. So whosoever is the technical staff, sir, please ask them to mute the ma'am's mic. Okay, so let me try to share my screen, okay? Give me a second. Okay. So okay, I hope I'm audible and my screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir, the screen is visible.
Okay, great. So okay, so let me get it started with this topic, and please feel free to put your queries on the chat. I want this session to be interactive rather than just me keep talking on the one side of it. I'm sure most of us in this gathering would be familiar with what Industry 4.0 is all about, and of course we all are well versed with AI in the current context, right? Almost everybody has an exposure of what capability AI has and what kind of transformation AI can actually do for us, right? So before I go down towards the 4.0,
இது நம்ம இதுவே தானே சார், நம்ம ரெகுலருக்குள்ள இது தானே.
I'll quickly try to sort of take you through the history of what the Industry industrial revolutions had been, right? So we know about 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0, and actually 5.0 for that matter, right?
famous lab.
So right from the time, right?
Sir, we are not able to listen to you, sir. Please remove this Kanagapriya ma'am.
Advanced data structure தான் இருக்கு.
Hello.
Unfortunately, I do not have a right to do so, sir.
Vinit sir, please, we request you to please remove this Kanagapriya ma'am. We are not able to listen to any single word.
சார் நான் அனுப்பட்டுமா தேடிட்டு ஓஎஸ் இருக்கு. இது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் செமஸ்டர்ல உள்ளது, செகண்ட் இயர்க்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் செமஸ்டர் தானே எடுத்தேன். நானும் ஜேபி சாரும் எடுத்தோம். ஜேபி சார் நம்பர் இருக்கு, அத சொல்லுங்க. அவர் நம்பர் என்கிட்ட சார் காமிச்சிருக்கேன்.
Hello, so this Kangapriya ma'am, please kindly mute yourself. You're creating a lot of disturbance here.
சார் காமிச்சிருக்கேன்.
Unfortunately, she is on a mobile phone, ma'am. So
No, she just joined to get the certificate, sir. She is not listening to our FDP. She had just joined to make her presence over here.
யாரு? எனக்கு டூல் தானே மேம். உங்களுக்கு ப்ரோக்ராம்னா கஷ்டம் தான், எனக்கு டூல் தான்.
okay, I think we can get it started. So as I was talking about, right? So there is a journey that has been there of the industrial evolution, right? I'm sure a lot of us have actually we would remember what the power of a steam actually was, right? The invention of a steam engine, right? And from there onwards, we had the implementation of mechanical looms based upon that power. And then came the second revolution, which was based more about how do you use electrical energy. Then came the third one, which was more about electronics, right? Circuits, and all. And the fourth one, right, which is more about how we can make use of the cyber physical systems. And even the fifth one, for that matter, which is very much around the corner, right? So there has been if you see throughout the journey, what has been there, right, from early 1700s, right, to current phases, the focus has been always on changing a business process in a manner, making it more efficient, making it more automated, as and when the technology was available, and overall enhancing the efficiency of the system. That's what all these evolutions or the industry revolutions have been, around, right? So if you see there, right, the current 4.0 that we talk about is more about transformation of the industry processes. Now, how do you transform these processes? You transform these processes using one or many of technologies available, right? So the time when we had a steam engine, we basically used a steam engine or a steam power to power up our mechanical devices, because back then those were the big things, right? Today, we have a lot of IT systems, right, which basically drive over whether it is manufacturing processes, whether it is supply chain, right? So today we talk about making use of technology like robotics, like AI, like cloud computing, like, IoT, all of those things. So that what we can do, we basically can drive the transformation in the industry. Transformation towards what? Number one, towards achieving efficiency. Number two, towards making the product services more personalized, right? So the idea is basically to make the life more simpler and easier for people, right? And at the same time, increasing the efficiency. Now, if you see, this has been a journey from, right from the first industrial revolution to fourth and even fifth, which is so much so there people are actually working on it, right? But if you see the major operational transformation, right, it's all has been about how do you bring together technology is one, processes is second, and more importantly, organizations, right, so that they can come together and deliver quality, efficiency, and performance, right, so that the life of people can be made better, right? That is the entire premise of having these revolutions. So one should not actually look towards 4.0 or 3.0 as a technology thing, right? It's more about having a integrated approach to multiple things, right? So majorly three things: people, process, and technology that we basically talk about. And we bring these three things together, in a more sustainable way so that, they are able to give a cross-linked value to us, right? Now, you can, I'm sure you're all from academia, right? And if you look back towards last 10 years journey of how academia has evolved, for that matter, even you can just see the post-COVID and pre-COVID scenario, how the academia has evolved. You'll see a sea change in which, faculty members have been able to utilize technology. They have been able to actually make use of, you know, various systems which have made the learning simpler, easier, faster, scalable, most importantly, right? Whether it is, adopting of online MOOC courses, self-learning, having a online approach of evaluation embedded in the regular teaching learning, so many things, right? So we have all been a part and parcel of all these, evolutions over the period of time. Now, you might have heard about a lot of technologies, right? IoT, cloud computing, AI, right? But if you see here, overall, we are not, again, as I was talking on the previous slide, it's not just the technology part, it's more about multiple things, right? So IoT may be an element here, but then, there are so many other things which actually contribute to an industry 4.0. And I'll come to the AI piece as well in a while, right? Now, if you see here, we are looking to integrate multiple systems, whether it is cloud computing, whether it is AI, whether it is blockchain, whether it is 3D printing, right? All of those things are coming together for what? Creating more autonomous systems of a kind, creating more systems which are networked, creating systems which are better, at performing things, which are more smart, right? And at the same time, you can actually communicate with these systems via internet or other ways, right? And the idea is basically to devise new delivery channels, new business models, right? Which never existed, right? Now imagine a case, for example, when it was COVID times, we were hardly driving. There were, since we were not getting our vehicles to move, the vehicles were majorly parked in the, either on roadsides or over parkings. But if you see here, we were still, getting the road taxes paid. We were still getting the insurances done of the vehicle, right? Now imagine a system what would actually be, it'll maybe buy let's say you reside in India for 6 months and you reside abroad for another 6 months, right? So there is no point for you to buying a 6 months, insurance cover for that, or 1 year insurance cover for that matter, right? Had there been a system, and which is there now, wherein the moment you actually bring your vehicle from out of the garage onto the road, it actually goes for a dynamic insurance policy, buying dynamically, the insurance policy. And, you can choose whether you want to drive the vehicle for 7 days, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, right? And based upon the time that you are looking to keep the vehicle on the road, the insurance policy automatically, gets you are getting charged for that uh, amount of time, right? So that is a business model that never existed. Take another case, right? The insurance policies that we typically buy, right, for ourselves. Now, if there are two people, A and B, right, both of them are actually in the same age group. Now, if they have to buy a policy for a same coverage amount, they would normally be paying a same amount of premium, right? Person A and person B. But let's say A is into a high risk job compared to B. So if that is the case, then automatically the liability or a risk for A is higher for an insurance company to cover, right, compared to that of a B. But how does the insurance company ensure that A and B, their the working situations are basically covered, and there is no fudging happening in that data, right? So if that is the case, and if that may be the case, what the insurance company can do is they can actually offer a variable cost to A and B, right, based upon how much risk both of them offer to the insurance as a company, right? So those kind of business use cases were never there earlier, and that's what is a greatest value that the technology brings. It brings forth new business cases which never ever existed, right? Let's go down further to understand more about it, and we'll see more about some few more use cases, few more examples as we go forward. Now, we all know, IoT basically provides for real-time data, right? So whether it is sensors in your vehicle, in your car, or your sensors in your refrigerator or microwave, right? All of them actually come enabled with sensors these days. Now, you can actually make use of those sensor data on your mobile phone. You can gather them, and then you can actually connect it through some various kind of apps which are available today. We talk about smart homes today, right? Wherein you can actually control the entire lights, your geysers, they could be put on and off. Your cars can be remotely, made on. AC could be put on there. Similarly for your smart home as well, right? You can actually put our AC remotely on or off, whatever. Now, where did all these things come from? They all basically are disruptions which technology has provided, transformations, as we talked about in the previous slide here. So this is one part what IoT has been able to provision for us, right? Sensors, real-time data collection, right? Getting an insight about what is happening through that data which is coming in, and based upon that, creating new business models, right? Something which never ever existed. And going to the next part, right? Today, we have been talking about data is the new fuel, right? We talk about data is the new fuel. How is data a new fuel? Because with data, you can do analytics, which can give you insights which were never ever available to you, right? Those kind of insights can only be uncovered because you were able to mine the historical data that you had, and get some insights. Based upon that insights, you can take some decision, well in time. Example, let's say I've been driving my car for last 10, maybe 20,000 kilometers, right? And then, there is this sensor which basically is able to sense that some parameter is going downslide, right? So there is something called as predictive maintenance, right? So before the part actually fails, the system gives me, a message saying that, a notification saying that maybe, you should take care of the camshaft. It seems there is some problem with the engine, the way it is opening the valves, opening up and opening of valves for you, for the fuel intake, right? And there can so many examples you can think about, right? So that kind of predictive analytics, right, which has been fueled by cognition, the data that you had, the AI that you have put on top of it, right? So that's what is all about, how AI is really, really kind of changing the scenario, right? Take an example. I'm sure most of us fly, right? We use these various airlines, planes to fly, right? Now, DGCA actually maintains that after certain hours of flying, the plane has to undergo a fitness test, right? Which is very mandatory. Let's say, for example, a Boeing 737 after flying for 500 hours has to mandatory go for a fitness test. Before getting a fitness certificate, it cannot fly again, right? So if that is the case, so AI, or for that matter, the sensor data which is coming from the various parts of the plane, can actually give a good insight about how much wear and tear a particular part has gone through, which what would be the predictive maintenance cycle of that part. Is that part really worn enough so that it needs a replacement for the part, the plane can fly again? So all of those actions are basically based on the learning that we had from the data coming from those sensors, and on the basis of the models which have been trained on the historical data for the same product, right? So all those kind of analytics were never ever available earlier, which industry 4.0 actually really enabled, right? Now, if you see here from a major point of view, four components we talk about, right? One is the revolution of the fourth industrial revolution, the cyber physical systems that we have, that we talked about IoT, AI, robotics, cloud, big data, for factories and automation. So most of our conversation today will focus around these four pillars, right? Now, we just heard in the, on the previous slide, I was talking about how AI really powers Industry 4.0, right? So it basically provides for real-time analytics and predictions, we said, right? It enhances the overall automation and the robotic intelligence of the system that we are doing. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are from mechanical background, but if somebody, is in from that background, so they would understand what a process plant is, what a process manufacturing plant is, right? So a plant which basically, it starts, actually, you cannot shut it down just like that, a process plant. Why? Because there is a huge manufacturing process which is tied from the input to the output of the plant. For example, let's say you have a plant to make a polyester sheet, right? Now the polyester sheet typically is made from, you go get these chips which are fed into the system. Those chips are actually heated. You basically have a molten, plastic. Then you pass that molten plastic through a series of rollers, right? A cooling rollers on which you stretch the sheet, gradually, right? And then towards the end of the assembly line, you have those rolls on which the sheet of a certain micron width, thickness actually gets rolled on. Now, this is a continuous plant, guys. There at no point in time you can fiddle with any parameter, because the quality of the sheet which is passing through will suffer, will change just by changing one single parameter, whether it is the temperature of the molten thing or the cooling temperature of the rollers through which the sheet is passing, and so many more. So there are hundreds of variables there. So the point is, if the plant is start once, you just cannot shut down the plant like that. And when you shut down the plant, you will find, a lot of wastage gets accumulated in the overall system. And not just that, to restart the plant again, there has to be a lot of cleaning done, because, all of those molten material would have been choked in various phases of the cycle. Now, imagine there is some kind of a automation you could do in terms of the temperature being maintained, the quality being maintained, and the predictive maintenance of the, of the mechanical components in this entire cycle. Now, what if a certain roller broke down in between, right? You're in middle of a 20-hour shift, right? Or a 18-hour shift. And, after half the product is made, there's a breakdown. What will happen is the entire cycle will get break, and the product on both the sides will definitely get wasted, right? So there is so much in terms of what automation can achieve. We have already seen how robotic surgeries have made a mark for themselves, right? We talk about how optimizing and adaptive systems will work, right? So Industry 4.0 is all about how do you digitally mature the environments, right? So right from design, explore, and discover to the extract and create phase, and then the process cycle that we just talked about, up to the delivery, and finally, how do you dispose that service? It's all about integration of all of those things, right? And what we do is we basically bring together a smart industry, which is nothing but sensor-driven feedback, sensor-driven operations, right? Something which could automatically tweak the temperature at a certain level to optimize the performance or the quality of the product, right? Similarly, an entirely digital working model of the processes. We have seen, there used to be lathe machines back then, long back, right? Which were absolutely manual, right? And then we had something called as NC, numeric control lathe machines, right? And then came CNCs, right? Where a computer operated numerical control machines. And now we talk about, robotic arms doing all of that heavy lifting, manufacturing plants, assembly, right? In the car lines, doing that intricate work where human, hand or something is difficult to go, right? So all of that is all about, digitizing and automation of the entire product line, right? And then whatever we talked about in the previous things, how do you integrate everything? For example, right from inventory to the quality control after the product, development, how do you integrate all of this digitally, right? And to do all of this, how do various connectivity mechanisms come into play, whether it is a satellite-based network or a mesh network, how do you actually embed a layer of security? Because physical systems are always prone to all kinds of security issues, right? And then the entire thing, how do you analyze what is the right fit, what kind of the automation and the quality enhancement, right? So 4.0 is all about providing that digitally mature model, right? Now, this typically drives a few points for us to really remember. Three things. One, uh, the performance, the condition, and the customer engagement, they all are driven by 7 strategic priorities. What are those 7 strategic priorities? They are digital innovation. This is products and platform, smart manufacturing, next generation safety, connected assets, and agile integrated operations, right? Together, all these 7 strategic priorities fuel 3 key drivers: performance, condition, and customer engagement. Now, performance is all about, having that innovation in the product development to business transformation to creating new business models, profit maximization, including increasing the efficiency, right? Condition is all about having a consistent quality of product. You remember all those ISO standards we used to have back then, right? That was all about having consistent creation of quality in a certain product. How do you actually convert them into SOPs and EPS? SOP is standard operating procedures, and EPS is elementary processing sequence, right? And then comes finally the customer engagement, because that is very important. As we said in the first slide, 4.0 is all about customization, right? Getting the user input back channeled into the process, right? So that you are able to meet the customer, requirements, or maybe give him a customer delight for that matter, right? So how do you actually create that kind of proactive real-time information system, feed it back to increase the quality of the product, have a better customer relationship, and in this way you basically increase the overall digital business strategy, right, which is basically tailored around the customer experiences, right? So all of this is basically integrated as a strategy in people, sustainability, process, and technology, right? So Industry 4.0 is more mature business model, which has integrations of various components into it. So it's not like a standalone only technology thing is what I wanted to basically talk to you about, right? So we talked about 7 strategic priorities, right? So let's try to dig into each of them, right? Now, see, unless you are able, I'm sure you would know about the speed to market is something which is very important. Now, let's say I have a great idea about laptops, how laptops can be made more user friendly. But then if I'm not able to come up with the, that innovation, I'm come up with an innovation embedded in the product and take it to the market, I will never be able to know whether the innovation which I'm trying to do is really, does it make sense or not with the customers, right? Now, how do I do it? I really need to innovate my, I need to accelerate my innovation so that, I'm able to get to my customers quick enough. And that's what, startups are too good at today, right? They are very good with the go-to-market. They are very good to pivot in case there is, some issue with the product or whatever services they are able to, offer. Second is product as a platform, because the entire revenue is based on the product, right? So unless your product is futuristic in nature, it is basically, able to deliver the value that the customer wants from the product, right? You will not have a sustained customer on the platform, right? So it's really important that we keep the product upgraded, innovate it on a regular basis so that, it doesn't become a one-time sale. So that's why if you see a lot of these systems today, they basically are based upon upselling. So you sell some X thing, but once you have sold an X, for example, any subscription to a music platform, right? You have got so many of these music platforms available these days. So once that's available for free to us for use for 3 months, 6 months, whatsoever, then comes a small subscription fee, right? You can use the same audio app for listening to music at a small cost, and gradually that cost increases as and when you are asking for more and better services, right? So that's what product is next comes the smart manufacturing, right? So I'm sure most of you are, you are aware about what we're talking about here, right?
அது காப்பி பேஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டேன் போன செமஸ்டர்ல இருந்தது வேண்டாத அதான் நம்ம அதர் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் ஸ்டாஃப் எல்லாம் ரிமூவ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் சப்ஜெக்ட் சாய்ஸ் ஃபைனல் இயருக்கு
Okay. Would anybody like to add here? Any questions till this point, guys?
நாங்க ரூல்ஸ்லாம் போட்டுருக்கோம். Faculty members have to choose two different subjects. One subject will be allotted as
கேட்டா அது மட்டும் கொடுக்காதீங்க. கேட்டா பி கேட்டா ஏ கொடுத்துருக்கீங்க.
Okay, I thought there's some questions around, but let's go further, right? Let's take a couple of use cases to understand more about it, right? So I was giving you this example of a process plant, right? Where we're talking about predictive, how do we do that? So let's talk about that in more detail, smart manufacturing, right? How, a computer vision for quality inspection can really replace, a kind of manual, not just inspection, but then the errors which can creep due to, human intervention, right? At the same time, we can always get into the predictive maintenance via machine learning. So before the system actually breaks down, before that, that's what it's called predictive, right? So before the system fails, you can actually maintain the system so that it keeps on running. For example, your vehicle, right? So you're driving a vehicle and you've already, let's say drove for 15,000 kilometers. Normally, after every 10,000 kilometers, you should be taking your vehicle for a servicing. But a lot of time people, for ignorance or for the sake of so many other parameters, right? They would not take a vehicle for maintenance. So what will happen is over a period of time, certain components will wear and tear, right? And what will happen is this will basically lead to a vehicle, which will get stranded in the middle of the way, right? So that's breakdown. So before the vehicle actually gets into breakdown, if you are able to do predictive maintenance in a timely way, the vehicle will actually never get into the breakdown mode. And same is with any manufacturing cycle for that matter, right? AI optimized supply chain. We have been talking about it, so many times. Now, let's say you have an inventory of 10 lakh rupees, right? And somehow one of the lots in the inventory which has come is not correct, right? Now you already have accumulated an inventory of 10 lakh rupees, which will go to the shop floor in next 4 weeks, for example, right? So that means you have a buffer of 3 weeks. So not only have you, blocked your 10 lakh rupees in that inventory, more than that, that faulty product which will actually go to the supply chain will not get detected for next 3 weeks, right? Unless when it comes to the assembly line and somebody inspects the product physically, it may get undetected. So what will happen is this supply chain is not optimized. You're actually wasting a lot of money, storage, resources onto that. So that's why Japanese came with something called as Kanban, right? Approach, or just-in-time JIT approach, right? The just-in-time approach, which is the moment you need an inventory, it arrives right prior to that. So, you don't have to accumulate too much of inventory, and put your money into it, block your money into it, right? And predictive maintenance actually helps you reduce the downtime and it improves your efficiency big time, right? So that's just a use case around how smart manufacturing makes use of Industry 4.0, including IoT sensors, including AI, including, so many other technologies we talk about. This is another use case which is great, right? People in healthcare are using technology like anything. I'm sure you might have been hearing about having AI models that can diagnose various diseases, right? There are a lot of these smart systems, including the smart watches. A lot of you would be actually wearing today, which are nothing but sensors, right? They keep sending the data back to an application which keeps churning, this data, and tries to understand are all the parameters of your body are okay, or if there is some sort of a, something which is not normal. So those kind of, enablement systems are very, very, imagine a patient which is suffering from Alzheimer or some such disease, which is, which can be such a, a hindrance in his day-to-day life. So IoT enabled devices can really help him walk, can really make him navigate through the lines. People who are disabled in terms of they can't see, we have so many IoT enabled devices for them which can be of help to them. And of course, we talked about how robotics is really helping in surgery these days, right? And so again, these are few use cases where we see a lot of utilization of what 4.0 has to offer to us, right? Including AI. This is what we were talking about earlier, how people, processes, they all make sense to the overall industry 4.0 framework. So I'll skip this because let's come to how it actually means, what it means for you, right? How industry 4.0 is actually for higher education, right? Now, before I go here, I'll actually show you a couple of slides about some data, right? Now we often hear that there's a lot of threats for jobs because of automation, right? Now, and of course, there has been a lot of jobs cut at a certain level, right? But what we do not realize is there is a lot of job generation at a different level as well altogether, right? So we need to get into it to understand the details about it. Now, if you see the overall market size, this has been consistently increasing. This has been consistently increasing over so many years. And this is what is projected, for next 5-6 years, what we see the market size is to, will grow beyond $2 trillion just for services, by the way, right? So IT services, right? So what it means is that means the market is growing. There would be job requirement as well, right? But in which segment? This will be mostly in AI and generative AI, cloud computing, and which basically is a lot of multi-cloud and and hybrid cloud, cybersecurity, right? And then a lot of other technology, whether it is blockchain, IoT, quantum. We see in India there is a lot of traction towards quantum as well today, right? Now, these are the technology which will really fill in for, for this particular gap, right? So wherever there is automation happening of low level or repetitive kind of jobs, there will be, or there is already a job creation happening at a different segment within that industry, right? So idea is, are we keeping ourselves upgraded with that? And that's where, the higher education comes, has a major play there, right? Now, I was in one of the universities today for a discussion around, right? How do you really make the research more more in sync with what is needed today, right? And again, this entire discussion came up there also. How do you really work with interdisciplinary streams, right? Somebody with the art, somebody with a commerce, somebody with a a different engineering background, somebody with the IT, somebody with the computer science. How do you bring all of these things together so that they are able to leverage each other's strengths that way, right? And that's where, I'm sure this conversation today, this FDP that you are doing today is going to help you in that aspect as well, right? Wherein you'll get to understand what kind of capabilities AI offers you, what kind of capabilities data science offers you, what kind of capabilities cloud or IoT offers you, right? And then you can see how does this technology help in what I am teaching and helps in what I am doing, right? You can always look to, so it's all about integrating those technologies into what we are doing, teaching, learning, research, all of that, right? So that interdisciplinary thought process has to start building, in case it is not yet. And I see a lot of you actually doing it. I see a lot of interdisciplinary research these days in higher education, right? Most important, another component is about how do you actually work collaboratively with industry. Now, we keep talking about it, and of course, a lot of that is happening as well, right? But at the same time, there is a lot more scope in terms of what we can do better, right? Now, see, both industry and academia have their own pace, and nobody needs to actually adjust to each other's pace. It's just that we need to know who's doing what, because that's really important. Why is it important is, see, end of the day, the teaching and learning that we are doing in academia are basically shaping our workforce for tomorrow, right? So let's say if I'm a student and I'm taking an admission in some branch of engineering or some branch of a commerce program or a statistics program today, and my course is like 3 years or a 4-year course, what will happen? I'll come to the market only by 2029, right? 2029, 2020, 2030, right? Now, will the job roles which are available there still be available in 2030? Maybe not. Maybe few. Yes, they might be, right? So the point is, am I grooming my child for a job which will be available in the market 4 years down the lane? You need to answer this question yourself and give an answer to yourself only, right? Are we doing it? So when I'm taking an admission with your university, are you grooming me for a job role 4 years down the line? Or are you grooming for a job role which is there today, but it may not be there tomorrow? Technology evolves very quickly, right? We all have seen in our lives, I'm sure all of you who are into your 20s, 30s, or 40s would have seen how mobiles have changed from those, black and whites to colored. And today the configuration is mobile is even higher than what a laptop or a desktop has, right? And then there was a time when even desktops were, hard to find. They were so costly. Now today mobiles have make all of that redundant, right? You can do all that you can do on a laptop, you can do on a mobile phone as well, right? Your tablet as well, right? And same actually goes for almost all the industry. Technology has been, outsmarting itself very, very fast, right? So it's really important that are we keeping in pace with that? Now, there is always this question, right? That um, we are grooming the children for something generic, right? We are grooming it for everybody and anything and everything. That is not the case today, right? Today we have got so many learners, which was never the case earlier. Today the companies are recruiting for niche skills which were never there earlier. Earlier people were getting recruited in bigger numbers. Today that's not the case, right? People are recruited with a smaller numbers, right? Look for special, capabilities, look for special skill sets companies look for, in them. So are we doing that? Is our learning only theoretical or book based or that kind, or are we doing experiential learning which basically has some labs, some projects, or some kind of dissertations? So the learning needs to evolve according to the technology of that time, and not just that time but beyond that, 4 years, 6 years. Let me give you another example. I'm sure a lot of you are into teaching. Most of you are into teaching, right? You may be teaching X subject today, but do you think you'll keep teaching the same X subject 5 years later as well? Maybe not, right? 5 years later, that X subject may be taken off, or that X may already have evolved, right? So 5 years later, you need to basically prepare yourself for that Y subject, which you do not know about now. So the point is, unless you have that learning mindset, unless you have that growth mindset, unless you are able to sort of accept that interdisciplinary approach into your learning, you may not be well versed with that Y subject when it comes around the corner, right? So it's really important for both faculties and students to keep investing their time into learning everything that is available today, because every next day something new comes up, right? And hence it's really important to remain, in sync with what is there in the market. Why? End of the day, the product, the student that we are preparing, right? The student, the one that we are grooming, will be getting into this job industry 3 years, 4 years down the lane. So what kind of technologies will be used then? We need to envisage them now. We need to think about them now and groom them for those, right? So that's why it is really important for higher education to remain in sync with what is being offered by the technology, right? And the moment we are able to do this, we'll be able to nullify, this particular effect that we're talking about, right? I'll skip a few slides and I'll go towards this, right? So if you see here, there is a continuous surge in terms of the job market, right? So over the next 10 years period, right? You see there is a continuous increase in the growth, right? And this is not just isolated in one particular area, right? From AI/ML research to web developers to tech employment, the requirement is across the globe, across the board. By the way, the kind of demographic, benefit that India has today, and which will be, lasting for a few more years, we will be the global workforce provider. So whatever you train today, whomsoever you train today, actually will be doing a job somewhere across the globe, all these countries which are there. So you're not grooming the student only for a job in India. You're actually grooming a student for a job across the globe, because we have this demographic advantage which no other country currently has. And we'll keep having this for another, I think, 15 years, if not more, right? So the important point is, are we really, grooming our students for that global job? Are we really doing it? If not, then we should really do it. And Industry 4.0, AI, all these technologies are basically carriers to do it. They basically help us to do that, right? Okay. So, as you can see here on this slide, right? Whereas there is a decrease in certain roles, which is there because of automation, there is a significant increase of new kind of roles, right? So idea is, are we grooming our current generation for those new kind of roles? If not, then I think, we are putting our energies in our wrong direction. We should really groom the current generation, the current students for those futuristic roles, for those roles which are going to get increased, for the roles which will require more of technology, which is available today and tomorrow, than which has been available there for last 20 years, right? So that's really important, from an academia point of view, to understand that what kind of skills are we, inculcating in our students, right? So this is something which can give you about how any country is looking towards 4.0. This is a data slide, but then it can definitely give you a good view about how different countries have different programs which are oriented towards Industry 4.0. We all know Government of India has a great focus around Make in India, right? Now, Make in India cannot happen in isolation. So that's why you see a lot of push basically being made into infrastructure, into all kinds of segments, right? We are looking to develop competencies in area where were never there, right? For example, semiconductor, right? Fabrication, right? All of that, right? We were never there into this segment, but then we are really making bigger strides in this area because this is where the future lies. Quantum computing, right? This was so much like a new upcoming technology, but no more, right? There are faculty members who have been grooming themselves regularly for quantum programs in last 1 year. I can say so because we have been partnering with various bodies to run a quantum based FDP. So since January, February this year, there's been a continuous FDP series going on only for faculty members to groom them on quantum skills based upon the model curriculum which AICTE released last year for UG programs, right? So idea is, to create mind share. Idea is to create that kind of expertise in academia. So then the moment you teach the faculty members, right, that learning automatically goes the next level. That's what we assume, right? So whenever a faculty is trained, you basically train hundreds of students, who get in touch with the faculty member, right? And that's why there is so much of a focus at upskilling of the faculty members currently, right? I'll take a small pause, guys, and any questions for me? Let me go to the chat window and see if there is anything for me there. Okay. Okay, guys, any questions here? Please feel free to put your queries over here. Or you can unmute yourself in case that is available and you can ask your questions. It's all about interaction, right? You are yourself teachers, right? So I am not here to teach anything. It's more about having an interaction, right? So interaction is always two ways. Feel free to put your questions here, unmute, talk about whatever we are talking today, discussing today.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir. So I do have a question, and I'm not sure whether it is related with the context of what we are studying here today, but yes, it is related with AI.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So, sir, my question is that I teach AI in my school, in my college. So, when it comes to the practical part, we still use the Turbo C compiler for the purpose of, practicals of the subject. So I was just curious as to what latest AI softwares are being used or being deployed in the computer labs in the colleges, so that the students can actually learn about AI, because we are using the Turbo C compiler for OOPS also and for AI also. That kind of seems redundant. So what do you suggest for it?
So one is, I'm not sure, sir, what kind of labs do you offer, but today, cloud is the biggest enabler, right? If you see these fingers, right, these all fingers basically work because there's a palm which is joining these fingers.
Yes.
So you can assume this palm to be something like a cloud, and then IoT, mobility, AI, all of these enablement technologies like these fingers, right? So almost all hyperscalers, right? All the cloud vendors, including IBM, offer a lot of services on cloud, including hosting your applications and running your programs, providing you with AI ML based services, right? For example, I know IBM offers Watson and Watson X services for generative AI and the conventional AI services, which include speech to text, NLPs of the world, generative AIs, everything, right? Second thing is, today we talk about something called as vibe coding, right? And with the advent of all these chat GPTs and so many other engines available, right? We all know how the child's mind is already, it's already evolved, so to say, right? They already make use of these kind of applications day in, day out. Now the point is, how are we going to help them use these applications, or are we going to help them to use it better? Because that's what is needed today. Industry does not need a child to remember a syntax or a semantic of a language. What they need is a child who comes with a problem solving ability, right? And if he or she has a problem solving ability, you can always he or she can always adopt to any programming environment, right? Whether it is Java or Python or C++ or anything for that matter, because you have all these smart IDs available today, who would always already populate the entire code for you, right? All you have to do is put your
Right.
logic there, right? And that's it. Same goes for something like a Project Bob. I'm not sure if you're aware about it, right? Maybe you
No,
can
sir,
speak
I'm
about
not.
it later. So
Yeah.
Project Bob is something which helps you, create those code that you really want to, for particularly in Java, Python, JavaScript environments. Same goes with, the vibe coding approach. So industry experts suggest, people from engineering or non-engineering, tech and non-tech backgrounds can equally use these kinds of platform, because AI is, across the board. There is no segment which is untouched by the impact of AI, right? Whether you talk about tech segment or a non-tech, people coming from a non-tech segment, right? BA, BCom, BSc, or even other courses. So idea is the learning should be more inclusive, right? So vibe coding kind of approach really helps bring everybody on board. So it's basically democratizes the knowledge. Whether you're talking about AI, you're talking about development, it basically helps there. Now, what I would recommend is, you should make more use of these kind of tools, platforms, right? To teach your kids about coding. And then that coding platform can be anything, right? People use it for Ruby, people use it for Python, Golang, whatever platform, right? So that should not be the barrier for any child to adopt to a certain learning, right?
All right, sir, got it. So basically, the word that you have used is white coding and Project Bob, right?
Okay, so I used vibe coding, VIB, and I used
Okay,
Project Bob. I'm putting it on the chat for you.
all right,
Okay.
all
Any
right.
other
Thank you so much,
question
sir.
for me, folks on the call? Feel free to ask questions about whichever area you are coming from, whether this FDP
Yeah.
fits into your area or not. Feel free to talk about it.
It does fit actually. See, we have multiple subjects in the college. See, I teach TOC also, that is theory of computation, and design and an analysis of algorithm and artificial intelligence, that is AI. And we have been deploying the Turbo C compiler, that conventional tool that is blue and black, blue and greenish tool. But I believe that if we are talking about the advent and evolution of AI, then there should be something new, something more exciting, alternative for the AI and its practicals, so that when the students perform that practical and write it down in the practical files, they should feel excited that they have, generated that code automatically.
Of course, you can actually make use of a visual code editor or somebody. There are so many editors available, sir, which can integrate any kind of coding language. Doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
ये ਤੁਹਾਡੀ 4 ਲੱਖ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਦੋਂ ਮੈਚੁਰ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ ਫਿਰ
ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਦਸੰਬਰ ਨੂੰ ਨੇ
ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਹੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਵਾ
Maybe if you can
ਫਿਰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਹੀ ਬਣਵਾ
translate
ਲਿਆ
your question, I'll be able to help you better.
ਮੰਗਾ ਕਰਾਇਆ ਤੇ ਇਹ 9,51,840 भी
अच्छा
और तेरी होनी है 25/11 ਨੂੰ खत्म
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਚੁਰ ਕਰਾ ਦਿਓ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਚੁਰ ਕਰਾ ਦਿਓ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਸੌਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਰਵਾ ਦਿਓ
ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕਰ ਦੂੰ
ਕਿਉਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਾਲ ਲੈ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੀ ਕਰਾਣੀ
ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੇ
ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੋ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਿਓ ਹੀ ਆਪੇ ਆਰਟੀ
Okay, any questions, folks on the call? Anything you would like to talk about before I start further, go further? You can put a no on a chat if not, so that I can go further.
Any participants, please, do you have any query? You can message in chat box.
Okay, great. Let's go further then in case no, then.
Sir,
Yeah, please go ahead.
hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. Actually, the whole session was theoretical kind of maybe. So, what kind of questions will be there in your test series?
Sorry,
from
can
this
you
part?
please repeat that?
What kind of questions will be there
Questions.
in your test part? Yeah, because everything was theoretical. So,
Okay, I'll leave that bit to the organizers of this this answer to the organizers, ma'am.
okay,
Yeah, you know how they would like to structure MCQ based
fine.
exam, I think, right, for this. Yeah.
And sir, can I get the slides?
Ma'am, maybe yeah, I can share a
This
few of
cannot
these
be
slides.
provided to the participants. You have to listen all the things carefully. Please note.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. So we'll go further with this, right? So we are talking about, right, how the various geographies are, you know, sort of making use of Industry 4.0 for different initiatives. Okay. Now, if you see the kind of adoption of various technologies, right? This is again a dated slide, but then it is good enough to give us a comparative, comparison chart about it in various parts of the globe, right? Particularly Asia Pacific is what we are talking about, right? Now, if you see here, um, prior to, you know, a certain segment, you know, and later, you know, around 2020, right? How does they differ? Now, if you see there, India has the maximum concentration of mobile phones. I'm sure all of you would know this, right? Being one of the biggest geography in the globe, we are one of the major, consumers of that. And that's the reason why you see major companies, you know, manufacturing are now today, you know, happening in the country for that matter, right? Now, when this is there, then of course services associated with mobile would also be there. You know, whether it's an app store which is hosting applications which you download on your mobile phones, right? So if you see mobility, cloud, big data analytics, right? These are some areas which have really found a lot of traction, right? And then you see there is a consistent increase in how the robotics, you know, people have been able to adopt to robotics, right? Or cognitive AI for that matter, right? This has, you see, all of them are consistently growing, right? All of across all the pillars, you see a growth there, right? This is majorly fueled because of the adoption of 4.0, Industry 4.0, and the various technologies around with that, right? And this is what is leading to a job market, right? Various. So this is basically a few slides drawn from WEF report, right? What they talk about is, right, there are certain clusters which will see a lot of opportunities coming up, right, in that particular. So if you see here, data and AI, engineering, cloud component, you know, cloud computing, and product development and sales, marketing, and content, right? These are certain areas where there'll be a lot of opportunities coming up. Why? Because you need people to upskill. So you need that content in those technologies, right? Similarly, those learning around data, AI, engineering, cloud, that's going to scale anyways, right? Because given the amount of scarcity of skills that we have, right? But then there is some new area, care economy, green economy, which were never there, are actually coming up. I'm sure you would have seen a lot of wellness cleaning and a lot of wellness consultants have come up, which was not the case 5 years prior. You know, pre-COVID, you wouldn't have seen so much of wellness consultants these, you know, back then. this today is really a great job, area to be in, right? So this has all been fueled because of technology only, guys. So see, I was talking to you about care professions. A new category of professions have already come up, which is like clinical simulations, patient safety, right? Somebody about wellness, right? How do you understand the vital signs of your body when it is slowing down and all? These are so popular among online learners, by the way, right? They want to keep in sync with, upgrading themselves in these areas. Again, these are the various job roles and these are the various skills which are so much in, going to be in requirement, whether it's a medical transcriptionist, right, or a physical therapist or a radiation therapist. You see, these are all those job roles. Few of them were there even prior, but then, these days they've really, gone beyond the ceiling. Therapists, physical, therapists were used to be there. But then given the kind of movement people are not doing these days, given the kind of jobs which are more centric towards people being seated for a longer period of time, right? We are needing so many of these people who are, able to give you these kind of therapies, right? So similarly, let's move on to the other piece, right? Data and AI. This is something which is growing big time, right? So whether it is deep learning, advanced machine learning, having data science with Python, TensorFlow, all of these are the areas where there is a lot of learning happening among online learners because they want to upskill their current skills. They want to upskill themselves with what is happening in the industry and in sync with what industry 4.0, 5.0 actually for that matter now actually brings to the table. So similarly, when you are learning something new, there are so many job roles in that area which were never there earlier. We talk about a prompt engineer today, which was never there earlier. With generative AI, we have something called as an entire job role defined along with writing prompts. Prompt engineer, right? Data engineer, right? Data scientist had been there for a while, right? Then data consultants, because everything revolves around data. So unless you have people who are able to make sense of the data, right, who are able to actually get that data in a usable format for you, it'll not be of no help to you, right? And you can see the skills on the right hand side about what these skills are required for that kind of job roles. So you'll see a lot of new skills coming up because which are associated with data and AI, right? I was talking about engineering and deep learning, right? So again, when you talk about deep learning, you talk about algorithms, you talk about TensorFlow, you talk about various programming languages like Scala, Python, so many of them basically, right? And then similarly, a kind of job roles and the skill set required for that job roles for you. This is another great area, green professions, right, which basically is about how do you use environment sustainably. Sustainability is another big area today, right? So people talk about how do you make use of environment in a more suitable, more appropriate manner, right? How do you use water resources in a better manner, right? And to do this, how do you use GIS, geographic information systems? How do you make use of that, right? With all those satellite imagery coming, the geospatial data made available, how do you actually build your models around those? How do you do your research around those, right? So these are again professions which were never there earlier, but then they are now there, and they are really picking up well. So these are called professions of future, which are very much in focus today, right? So I'm not sure if you are really developing your skill set or your kids' skill set around these areas, but these are areas you should definitely look forward to working on. And this is a well lubricated area, well marketed, marketing, sales, and content, right? These are well-oiled engines in the job market which have been giving jobs over the years. Though they have evolved, right? Marketing is not digital marketing, right? Then you have this search engine optimization, basically, which talks about how do you make your content more visible uh, to the audience, to the right set of audience, right? So this is again evolved with the new technologies there, and then along with that a lot of these job roles and then skills around with that. I'll quickly go forward from this, right, and I'll give you a few enablement stories, guys, which is really important for you to know. Now, particularly in India, right, we just saw some Asia Pacific thing, but then coming back to India, right, we see a lot of growth happening in across all the pillars. Most noticeably, as we see here, is mobility. If I remember, I told you, right, and cloud, right, big data analytics, right, IoT. So these are all the areas. If you remember, we were talking about these are all components of Industry 4.0, right? Big data analytics, mobility, cloud, IoT, robotics, AR, VR, 3D printing. they all basically, dovetail back into the overall Industry 4.0 learning cycle, right? And that kind of enablement has been happening. So if you compare India to Asia Pacific, we have been really doing well, and that's why I said we are going to be the global workforce providers, right? Provided we keep nurturing the right skills in the areas where there are job requirements in the market, not just in India but across the globe, right? Across the globe. Now, this Make in India program really has a strong focus on creating employment opportunities within India by increasing FDI that we get, right? And then also increasing global competitiveness. Now, how will this global competitiveness come when the product that we are developing is a quality product, right? Now, how do you actually develop a quality product? By integrating technologies to make the product better, efficiency enhancing. You need to enhance your efficiency, you need to enhance the quality of the product, right? So all of these that you see here, those technologies, again, automation of factory, right? Industrial IoT, cloud, big data analytics, right? They all actually, fuel into what we have been talking about. So increasing of job opportunities, expanding the infrastructure, we talked about it. You basically improve the competitiveness by doing ease of doing business, right? So all of these basically factors are towards increasing the Make in India program, which is nothing but Industry 4.0 implementation in India, right? And if you see at the bottom there, you'll see all kind of industries as a target industry, right? From automotive, defense, aviation, biotechnology, chemical, electrical, electronics, food processing, oil and gas, pharmaceutical. This is just an indicative list. But if you see within this list of 9, 10, industries, you will cover a lot of them, right? We know how automotive is actually scaling. You know how we are, exporting to various countries today. You see how electrical vehicles are taking over, right? From the conventional petrol oblique, diesel based vehicles, how they are really making, how the industries are coming up to fuel that EV revolution, right? You'll find those charging points across these major fuel outlets. They were never there 5 years back, right? So you see all that infrastructure getting created, alongside when you are looking to expand a certain industry. I'm sure you keep hearing about how we are, increasing exports in the defense sector, right? A lot of countries buying, things from us, and of course, pharmaceuticals. We had been, already leaders, but post COVID, we have been really able to ramp up our capacity like anything, right? That's why we exported pharmaceuticals to so many countries. And of course, electronics. I'm sure most of us know a lot of mobile companies are manufacturing in India, and we become the biggest manufacturer for them overall globally, right? Now, how that has happened is because of technology adoption. It is because of the students that you are grooming for the market. Now, unless you give the workforce to the market, how will these companies work? Where will the people come from, right? So it's really important from academia point of view that we groom talent for these futuristic companies, either through research or through, creating mindshare on new technologies, new areas, where there is a requirement of people. So it's really important that, industry and academia walk hand in hand, and academia aligns to the futuristic requirements of the industry, right? That's how this program or this initiative can really be successful. These are again a few case studies how Asian Paints has been able to really, do some automation, and towards that it was able to, increase the productivity, increase the reduction in the cycle time. See that the 47% reduction in cycle time, right? And then using digital twin of the overall manufacturing floor, so that you can be able to assess the production assets better. And what they did, they basically integrated AI, big data analytics, cloud, simulation, connectivity to their overall lines, assembly lines, right? Same goes with ABB, right? How they've been able to, increase the productivity from millions of connected devices. So it is such a great use case for industrial IoT, right? How they've been able to, increase the space by saving space by 20%, 25%, and the overall assembly saving time by 10%. So these are a couple of case studies. I'm sure you should actually take it to the market, to the students, get them involved with this, teach them, give them, assignments around this. Because the moment you give those as assignments, they'll be able to understand what is under the hood, what is powering this change in Bharat Forge. How did Bharat Forge actually achieve, this kind of benefits that they're talking about, right? So when they will do that, they will get to understand how AI got used, how 3D printing got used, how cloud got used in this, right? And then based upon that, they will be able to appreciate a technology. And once they are able to understand the importance of a technology, they will automatically, get into the learning mode of the technology. Students today are very smart. We just have to give them a path. We just have to show them a path, and they'll be more than happy to go on that. Okay, so these are the key takeaways, right? If you ask me from this talk, right? So one is very important is the emphasis on technology, right? Identify those top technologies that you would like to, get yourself upskilled on. When you get upskilled, you will always make it a point that you pass on those skills to the students in classes, through regular classes, or through office hours, whatever works good for you, right? Because the moment you pass on those skills, that learning becomes more better, more prominent, more improvised for you as a trainer, right? Because you'll keep improving each time you keep pass on this message, this knowledge, you'll basically improve with that, right? Second is talk about the PBL approach of learning, right? The practical hands-on approach of learning, right? That's really important. Learning cannot be just theoretical. It has to be complemented with some kind of experiential learning of that. So have projects which have some implementation. Today in the meeting where I was, we were talking about how implementation is really crucial from a student's point of view. Offer them projects which can be implemented on the ground. Don't take just those problem statements which do not have any implementation to it. They are simply you're able to make something and that's it. That's the end of the project. No, you should be able to implement that project somewhere within the campus, out of the campus, some local agency, some local industry, within your geography, because that's where when the implementation happen, the student gets to learn what goes into making of a solution, right? So that's really, really very, important point of view. So I'll stop here unless there is a question for me, guys. Any questions for me? Okay, let me have a quick look at the chat window. Okay. Guys, any question, feel free to, put across your point of view. It doesn't matter whether it is related to this topic or something else. As I said, this is more like a iterative thing. It's more like a, discussion than anything, right? You're already teachers. I can only be a facilitator, just as you are facilitators in your classroom.
No, sir, we don't have any questions, but Dr. Mani, as far as I can see, you work with IBM, right?
That's true.
I mean, it might be a funny thing to you, but nowadays we don't come across a lot of news about IBM across the internet. How come? A lot of
It's not nowadays, sir. It had never been the case. It was never that you heard about IBM from any media, and there is a reason to it. The reason to it is IBM. See, let me give you an example to explain my point of view.
Okay.
Sorry? Let's say you have a headache, right? For some reason, and you need to buy a medicine. So where do you go? You typically basically go to a medicine shop to buy a medicine, right? It may
Right.
be a Saridon or maybe some other any other analgesic to basically take care of that, right?
Yes.
But has it ever happened that you basically go to a Mankind's manufacturing site and say, I need a Saridon, can you take
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
IBM operates in a B2B segment. We operate in an enterprise segment. What it means is the products and the services that IBM caters to is an enterprise segment. So you talk about Fortune 500 companies, you'll find
Mhm.
IBM there. You talk about top 20 companies in India, you'll find IBM there. But in that segment, we do not have any product which is like a B2C. For example, I'm sure most of us actually learned about generative AI when ChatGPT came into it.
Yes, sir.
But if you see, IBM had been into that segment for last so many years. We have been working on it, for our clients for last 8-10 years in that segment, right?
Mhm.
But
Right.
then people only got to know about ChatGPT when they understood ChatGPT. Okay, this is something which is like, godsend. They can do this XYZ with it.
Okay, okay, all
So,
right.
so we are into a different segment, sir, which is more into enterprises. We do not have a product which is more like a B2C, a direct to client or direct to customer. We do not have a segment. That's why you do not hear IBM or any advertisement of IBM. You don't see either in news or, but then when it comes to technology, somebody talking about quantum,
Yes,
somebody
sir.
talking about AI, then you will definitely hear the name of IBM, who has been providing with the technology.
Exactly. Just like Nokia is providing the hardware devices to the B2B thing, not the B2C thing. Right. I got it, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There is a question, what is the key challenges faced by Indian industries in adopting? Okay, so industry academia collaboration. So if you remember, the slide that I was showing earlier, the major challenges, the three things we talked about, the three pillars, right? So one of them is actually people. People is skilled manpower. Unless we are having a skilled manpower, no technology can take off, right? For that matter, a lot of technologies actually died untimely death because there were no takers, there were no people who were actually leveraging it. So that's where is again the point of view that how industry and academia can really sort of should combine their energies for this, and that's the reason why you'll find a lot of industries today coming together with academia for collaborating on curriculum, offering joint courses. You see a lot of universities offering collaborative curriculum, right, where industry also contributes a certain curriculum for certain specialization. We also do that with a few universities. And so the idea is academia is responsible for creating that skill set in the market so that that can be taken in the industry, and hence the adoption of the technology can scale. Unless that kind of skill set is available, who will work on the things. So that's really important. I think that's where the answer lies to the question. How can I learn AI from an industry perspective? What I would recommend is, sir, there are a lot of courses available on AI from various, you can say hyperscalers, you can say AI service providers, including IBM, AWS, Azure, Google. They basically will give you a good, insight about what are the various tools that people actually use in industry. And they also provide you with access. No charge access is also available, sir. So that can be a great starting point for you to get into understanding how people use AI, in an industry. So you get to learn from those tools, you get to use those tools, and you can make those tools available to your students for doing practicals and all. And most of these there's no cost associated, sir. You can always, get them for the teaching learning at no cost, at zero cost for that matter. Any other question for me?
Participants, please ask any query. If you have any query, please ask our expert, Dr. Mani. Dr. Mani, thank you so much for your knowledgeable insights and imparting us various aspects about industrial revolution and its relationship with AI. Thank you so much, Dr. Sir.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate your time.
Dr. Mani,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sir, please
Dr.
list
Mani,
those tools.
Is there
Excuse
something
me.
for me?
Yeah, please list the name of all the tools. Can you share them in chat box?
Tools, list of tools, ma'am. It's exhaustive. It all depends what you want to work on. So, for example, you go to any cloud service provider. For example, there is AWS SageMaker, there is IBM Watson, right? And there is Watson X. So, depending upon what you want to use, there are NLP services available there, right? There is Knowledge Studio available there. So, I mean, this would be an exhaustive exercise to actually name those, but I'm just giving you a few. There's so many tools available which you can make use of. Hope that answers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Dr. Mani Madhukar, thank you, sir. Heartfelt thanks from the bottom of my heart, sir, for your valuable time and the informative session, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Now, I would request to invite Dr. Rajendra Kumar. Dr. Rajendra Kumar is currently serving as professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at GGI University, Punjab. He has more than 16-year teaching and research experience. He has developed deep expertise in the field of computer science and engineering. Dr. Kumar have done his PhD in computer science from Punjab Technical University, and he has earned his MTech degree from Chaudhry Devilal University, Sirsa, and MBA degree from Guru Jamdeshwar University, and BTech from HCTM Technical Campus, Kathal. His diverse academic background reflects a strong foundation and interdisciplinary approach to research and innovation. He has authored almost 8 international books and 8 book chapters, published many research papers in renowned reputed journals, which are Scopus and Web of Science indexed, and the number of published research articles are more than 40. And Dr. Kumar is also innovator, holding 4 patents from Australia, UK, and India to Indian copyrights for his original literary works are credited to him. As a research mentor, Dr. Kumar has supervised many PhD, MTech, and BTech students for their research projects or for their degrees. Dr. Kumar continues to contribute significantly to research, innovation, and quality education in computer science and remains dedicated to shaping the next generation of technology professionals. Now, I request Dr. Rajendra Kumar, please impart us your experience, your knowledge, your ideas, your innovations. Dr. Kumar, please.
Hello, my voice is audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to all the participants. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to AICT and Global Group of Institutions Amritsar for inviting me, such as for the fruitful session related to Industry 4.0. So my today's topic is about the AI in Industry 4.0, about the core concept and framework. Also, my heartfelt thanks to coordinator of this FDP, Dr. Arvind Devagan sir, and co-coordinator Dr. Vinit for the excellent planning, warm hospitality, and continuous support throughout the program. So, related to AI in Industry 4.0, we have discussed about the Industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, as well as AI revolution with the Industry 4.0, about the concept, and some of the related topics like the AI-based decision support system, and some of the government initiatives for the Industry 4.0, as well as some of the challenges and the future direction related to the core concept and the framework. So starting with the, we are having the original, if we're talking about the Industry 4.0, then it is not started recently 4.0, but we start with the Industry 1.0, 2.0 earlier, and then 3.0. So what about basically 4.0? So Industry 4.0 is about the new way of making products using the smart machines, computer we can also say, sensors, robots, AI. So it connects the physical world like machines with the digital world like software and data to create the smart factories. So it is known as the fourth industrial revolution because it is the fourth big change in how industries work. So in case of the origin and evolution, so industry 1.0 is about the mechanizations where we started with the 18th century and steam engines were invented here. So machines replaced with the manual work. Example of this, the traditional base replaces the steam powered machines. In case of the industry 2.0, the electricity was used in the factory, assembly line production, and then product made quickly and in a large quantity. So in 3. Then we have the use of the computers, electronics, IT, automated many processes. So example is a CNC machine where computer control machines we have used in 3.0. So currently we are using the AI in industry 4.0. Machines become smart and they can communicate, analyze data, make decisions and done using the AI. So actually it in 2011 Hanover Fair Germany, industry 4.0 was started where German experts wanted to make the manufacturer more advanced, competitive and the efficient one. So connect machines, sensors, data and computers into the one intelligent machine. So we have to mix all the latest technologies like the cyber physical systems, IoT, Internet of Things, cloud computing, AI, so that we can machines work less human power and production become faster and cheaper using these technologies. So fewer error occurs using the AI. If we are talking about the current technology, the real time data we can help the better decisions making. So systems may be improve safety, efficiency. So this is the broader slide about the industry 1.0, 1.2, where we have the key drivers and technologies. In case of 1.0 here, steam and water power use. In 2.0, electricity, steels, oils use. In case of 3, we are having the computer and electronics IT use. And current, we are having different type of emerging technologies. We are having intermix kind of technology. So in case of the revolutions, this current slide, evolution of the industry revolutions shows how manufacturers has transformed over the time through the major stages. So it began with the mechanizations, industry 1.0, where and water power enabled machines replaces the manual labor for the first time. So this was followed by the electrifications, where industry 2.0, where the electricity and the assembly lines made use mass production possible. So allowing the factories to produce goods in a faster way and more efficiently. The next is the automation industries 3.0, where computer, electronics, and the robot kind of automated machines processes. And in current, we are having the 4.0, where cyber physical system, Internet of Things, we have to use. In AI evolution within the industry 4.0, we are having intelligent automations, data-driven decision making. So we have to talk about some of the key aspects of the AI revolutions in industry 4.0. Intelligent automation is one of the most important aspects of the AI revolutions. It refers to as the advanced AI algorithm. You can say machine learning, smart sensor to enable the machines to and system to perform tasks automatically. So we have the minimum human interventions. So unlike the traditional automation,